Welcome to 28.5 Women's Basketball, where we explore a unique and authentic perspective on the women's game, break down upcoming matchups, and discuss the latest news and trends in women's basketball. We are your hosts. I'm Sydney Story, and I played basketball at the University of Tennessee under Pat Summitt.
And I'm Becca Goodman, and I played at the University of Notre Dame under Muffet McGraw. And we're thrilled to have you join us today. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoy what you hear, be sure to tune in each week and don't forget to follow, download, and listen to give an assist and share the love. Now let's get started with today's episode. Hello, Sid. How are you?
I am well. How are you, Beck?
Good. I'm good. I'm great. I'm even better because first and second rounds are done and it's lived up to all the hype. What'd you think?
It's certainly the best time of the year. Like I say it all the time. Like March is awesome because there's like a couple of good weather days that trickle in and it's just like things are looking up. And I always try to savor the moment because, after March Madness, then for me, I don't really watch baseball. So there's like a huge lull. WNBA picks up over the time and it's good over the summer, but it doesn't compare to me to what March Madness brings.
Yeah, I absolutely love when the weather is cooperating, I'll say, because here in Indiana, we know we get a little bit of everything all the time. So when it's great weather and you can have the windows open and also watch great basketball that's just like nonstop all day, it's my absolute favorite. We brought like 2 TVs down so I can make sure we're catching most of the games at the same time. And, it's funny because my husband's like, are there games today? Is there games today? I'm like, nope, we're paused now. We're going to kick back off again at the end of the week. So it's just trying to keep a pulse on everything because it goes so fast.
Yeah, I try to watch some of the men's games too. And so then it becomes overload and they're on so late, like sitting where we sit, some of those West Coast games, I'm like falling asleep during them. But it's the best thing to fall asleep to, I think.
Yeah, it sets up for really good dreams, basketball dreams.
There you go. Well, we got a star-studded, awesome-looking podcast today. You want to run through our 4 quarters?
Yeah. So first up, our first quarter, we're going to go through the first 2 rounds that have happened and do our high and lows, right? So we've kind of trademarked that our high-low look as to a good game and a bad game that we want to kind of just hit on high level. Second quarter, we're going to do a Sweet 16 preview. Third quarter, we're going to have an NYU Lady Violet update. And our fourth quarter, we're going to have an awesome Pat Summitt special breaking glass that Sid's going to go through. So let's dig in with our first quarter, our high and low picks, and I'll pass it over to you, Sid.
All right. So let's hit some round 1 bouts that were a lot of fun. Actually, round 1 and 2, right? So I kind of looked at both, but to me, the high of the first week here in March Madness was the University of Michigan. So they came in at a 2 seed. They defeated number 7 NC State 92-63 at U of M. I really thought this was a good showing for Michigan to start the tournament because they've had such a really good season and we've highlighted them a ton, especially with their sophomore class and how star-studded they are. And they're just a ton of fun to watch. We love their coach. We just really like what Michigan brings. They're a different type of style too in the tournament. They're not the fast-paced SEC style that you see in like a South Carolina or an LSU. They just bring something that's a little bit more tactical and strategic. And so I just really enjoy watching them play. But they got off to a really good start. So throughout the season, also, they set regular season highs for total wins and Big Ten wins. So they won 15 Big Ten regular season conference games, which was the best Michigan's ever done in the regular season as far as conference play goes, which is awesome for them. Then they earned the program's highest NCAA tournament seed, coming in at that 2 seed. And then they just made the Sweet 16 for the 4th time in program history. They've never made it past the Elite 8. So I'm secretly rooting for Michigan. It's like a new team that's played pretty well. They've been able to keep their freshman class now as sophomores. They didn't have girls that transferred out, which typically happens sometimes, like a Silas Swords or Olivia Olson, who are really good. That they can go to different programs, but they stayed with Michigan, and then they really just took it to both their opponents at home at Michigan. NC State was kind of an up and down team this year. And I thought they played well against Tennessee. Tennessee didn't have the best season this year, so a little bit disappointed there. But to turn around, and NC State had to play Michigan, and I really just thought from start to finish, Michigan played so well. So to me, they're the high right now. They're the high of the first 1 and 2 rounds on my side. And then you want to jump to? Want me to go with my low, or do you want to jump to your high? What do you want to do? Bounce
You can
back
go
and
with
forth?
your low. Yeah.
Okay. My low, I'm going to keep it in the Big Ten, was second seed Iowa. They lost at home in double overtime versus number 10 seed Virginia, 83-75. And let me say, like, not a bad game for Iowa. I mean, this game goes into double overtime, but I really just think like that's the game you got to win at home. They sell out the crowd. They had over 14,000 people there. You've got to get that done. And they had multiple chances I thought, to really win this thing, and they just never really put the hammer down and sealed the deal. It's a wrap for seniors like Hannah Stolke and Kylie Sherbach, who really, Kylie more of a defensive stopper, but Hannah Stolke, one of those great players for Iowa. So kind of sad to see them wrap up their careers on a loss at Iowa. So really, really calling this one a low on the Iowa side. But I have to highlight the Cavaliers, right? Virginia, who came into this thing a record of 22-11, won 3 games in 5 days to do this. They defeated Arizona State in last Thursday's first 4 game, following that with an 82-73 overtime win against Georgia in Saturday's first round game. So they really had to prove themselves at Iowa, and they did it. I mean, to win 3 games like that, especially in the tournament when it's do or die, just shout out to the Cavaliers. I'm anxious to see how they do coming up here. It's going to get tougher and tougher for them, as it does for everyone, but kind of a cool thing to see Virginia take it to the Hawkeyes. But I'm calling the low there for Iowa.
Yeah, makes sense. It was a good game. I agree with you that they had a couple opportunities that Iowa had the chance to put them away, and it just slipped by. But Virginia's rolling. We'll talk about them a little bit more later as one of my picks for somebody to watch. But my high and low, I'm going to go with my high, and I'm sure folks won't be shocked, is Notre Dame defeating the number 3 Ohio State at Ohio State by 10 in the second round. I just think this team, we've been talking about them all year, and they're really the inconsistency. They've had losses that were bad losses, and they've squeaked by and had barely their wins when we felt maybe they should have won or dominated by more. But I just think Notre Dame showed up and played Notre Dame basketball, from the scout to everyone on the team doing their part to the energy on the bench. It's really hard to beat a team that is hosting these first couple rounds. It's especially hard to beat the number 3 seed when you're coming in as the 6th. I wouldn't say this was an upset, but by a number standpoint, it is. It just didn't feel like it when you watched the game. Notre Dame went down big in the beginning, fought back, and then kind of handled them for the rest of the game. As I mentioned before, all 5 players that started really honed in on that scouting report, did their job. And when would we ever say that 5 players were in double figures for Notre Dame and 1 came off the bench? I think that's the most shocking thing. We had a bench player, and again, it's KK Bransford, so she should be a starter in her own right, but coming off the bench, adding in and getting double figures is huge, especially against a really good Ohio State team. Do want to highlight Cambridge for Ohio State had 41 in her sophomore final game this season. I just think she was unstoppable. She's kind of been known for that high energy, high tempo for most of the season. Definitely played her game, but just didn't have the support and the help. There was a lot of turnovers, but Notre Dame just locked in defensively. So shout out to Notre Dame. Go Irish. I don't think maybe a little bit ago we would have said, they're going to the Sweet 16, or we see them as a Sweet 16 team. So for Notre Dame to get there and punch their ticket was definitely very exciting.
Talk why this was a fun game for the Notre Dame family.
Super fun game in the sense of, obviously Notre Dame's coach is Neil Ivey. Ohio State's coach is Kevin McGuff. And Kevin McGuff was an assistant coach on the national championship 2001 Fighting Irish, where Neil was a player. So this was one of those player coaching against former coach type situations and setups. So it was all in all, a really good situation. Kind of, when a player can come back and beat one of her coaches, whether it's assistant or not, it's always a good feeling. Plus, Neil is very close with Kevin and his family and his daughter. So it was a good one. Stinks that they had to meet so early on and play, but it was definitely a good game. Jumping to my low, and this is a low in the sense for me is I just felt this team was going to go farther. I felt that they were tested through the season, especially playing in the SEC. I felt like they were built for the tournament, and I felt they had a really good road. But I'm going to say my low is the number 5 Ole Miss losing in the second round to the number 4 Minnesota. And they lost on a game winner at Minnesota. So obviously the positive in all of this is Minnesota played awesome. They were the higher seed. They won on paper and they should have. But Ole Miss, I just feel with Cody McMahon and the transition that they've had and Coach Yo and just the defensive presence that they bring, I felt they were out of sorts for most of this game. Cody McMahon got in early foul trouble, ended up only playing 21 minutes total, which is her lowest of all season long, and ended up fouling out at the end of the game. So she finished with 15 points and only shot 5 of 6 from the floor. But Minnesota played absolutely awesome. They defended their home court. Battle was the player who hit the last second go-ahead bucket. Or this could have went into overtime, and who knows what that would have been. But it was a really good shot, full-blown contested in the baseline, and just went in, and the place erupted. So shout out to Minnesota for heading to the Sweet 16. But my low being the fact I just thought Ole Miss would be able to handle business.
Yeah, I'm a Coach Yo fan too, so I was a little bummed. But the Golden Gophers survive in advance.
Yep.
Just got to win by one.
A nice Big Ten team to get in to the Sweet 16.
That's great. Yeah, a battle for sure. Great picks there, Becca. All right, we'll jump to our second quarter. We're going to preview the Sweet 16, which I am so excited for this weekend because there's some really cool matchups in here. This is what we want to see as fans, especially us fans that follow the whole season. So we're going to get into it and talk a little bit about it. So the way it works here, Friday, you're going to have the Fort Worth Region 1 play. You'll have the Sacramento 2 Region play. And then on Saturday, Fort Worth Region 3 plays, and then Sacramento Region 4 plays. So a lot of good games that are going to be happening in Fort Worth and in Sacramento. For Fort Worth 1, kicks us off, number 6 seed Notre Dame plays the number 2 seed Vanderbilt Friday, March 27th at 2:30. That game's on ESPN. Following that, 30 minutes after the game, number 1 seed UConn plays number 4 seed North Carolina. That'll, again, follow right after that Notre Dame Vandy game on Friday, the 27th, also on ESPN. So you can tune in right to ESPN there on Friday and just watch those 2 games, which I think will be awesome. And then later that day, also on ESPN, the Sacramento 2 region, number 1 seed UCLA plays the number 8 seed Oklahoma. Again, Friday the 27th. That's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. And then again, 30 minutes after that game, we'll see the number 2 seed LSU play the number 3 seed Duke. So some really, really good matchups there for Friday. Fast forward to Saturday, we have the Fort Worth Region 3 that will kick off. Number 2 seed Michigan will play number 3 seed Louisville. Again, Saturday, March 28th at 12:30. These games are on ABC. And then following that, 30 minutes after the game, number 1 seed Texas will play number 5 seed Kentucky. Then fast forward again a little bit later in the day, Sacramento Region 4. We have the number 1 seed South Carolina versus the number 4 seed Oklahoma. That starts at 5 p.m. And then the number 3 seed TCU versus the number 10 seed Virginia, 30 minutes after that game. So just some great matchups. I'm going to kick it over to you first. Let's hear which games you're most excited to watch this weekend.
All right. So first up, I'm excited to watch the Notre Dame versus Vandy game. I think the Michaela Blakes versus Hannah Hidalgo will be an epic showdown. I do fear and hope at the same time. I fear Vandy has a little bit more gunpowder to their arsenal where I hope Notre Dame shows up as a team and really locks into the scout the same way they did in the second round against Ohio State, because it only goes up from here. The competitiveness, the caliber of teams. Now we're basically playing, Michaela Blake's one of the best. She is her, right? Like she is one of the best in women's basketball right now. I just think it'll be a good matchup to see how Hannah does, but not only Hannah's numbers, but how Notre Dame feeds off of her. I feel like they really did that in the first and second rounds. So just excited to see this star power matchup, and then what team comes to support them and who gets the W. Obviously cheering for Notre Dame. Go Irish.
I have that as one of my picks too. I just think Blake's and Hidalgo on the court at the same time is, if you are in high school or middle school or even at the college level and you're a guard and you're trying to get better at your game, if you just watch those two play and mirror anything that they do, it's going to make you a better player. Like they for sure are two of the best guards in the country. Do they guard each other? I don't know. It'll be a little weird. I feel like Hidalgo's everywhere, so she kind of guards everyone.
Yeah.
Like her defense is just insane. So yeah, that's a chess match, like from a strategy perspective and what they do to scout for each other. I also think that there's a cool dynamic because you've got Neil Ivey, who's Notre Dame through and through. And then you've got Shea Ralph, who for years has been a part of the UConn program as a player, as a coach. Like if you are like an OG like us in women's basketball and we've just studied and watched it for years, like that's kind of a fun coaching matchup there in that game too.
Without a doubt. Well, I think this is going to be, and again, that's why I think I lean more on what team shows up, because it's going to be great coaches. It's going to be great star power. It's going to be, to me, the supporting cast and what they bring and how consistent they are.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one to tune into this weekend. The second one that I had was Duke versus LSU. These teams met back on December 4th. LSU ended up winning this one 93-77. But if you remember, Becca, LSU got off to a horrible start. Duke got off to a great start. Like LSU was not ready to play. And then LSU just finally turned it on and ended up winning this one big. But I think Duke is playing well. I'm excited to see if they're able to contain LSU's scoring power, right? Because if they can't do that, LSU is going to win by 20 again. But if they can slow them down and actually play Duke basketball, which focuses a lot on defense, and then you've got like the Toby Fourniers and the girls that can get hot on offense, this is a pivotal moment to me for the Duke program, because they've come close now a couple times in the NCAA tournament. They've had some good seasons here. They kind of got to get past that hump, and you've got to start beating teams like an LSU in the tournament to eventually make Final Fours. And so a tough matchup here, but if Duke wins this one, I just think it could be really cool for their program. So I'm kind of secretly rooting for Duke in this one because I think it would be somebody different that advances. LSU has made, a lot of Elite Eights and Final Fours, and Kim Mulkey's been there a ton. So I'm rooting for Kara Lawson here, the old Lady Vol, to win that one. So I'm excited to watch it. I think if Duke can play their game, it should be a tight game. But if they don't, they might get blown out. So we'll see.
This would be a huge statement win for Duke. Definitely something that I think needs to. It's time that it's happened, right? They've been itching at it, as you said, but I think if they can knock off LSU, I think that really sets the tone, and honestly would only help Duke going forward, recruiting wise. I mean, it just it's crazy to think that how these teams do definitely impacts what recruits are committing there, what dollar signs they're getting, what NIL deals are linked. Like it's all part of it. It's scary, but it's so true. And I think for Duke to kind of take it to the next level and like get some players where consistently they're able to dominate all season long and get that confidence, I think this is a huge game. And I agree with you. I'm cheering for Duke. Hope they're able to pull the upset off and see what happens. The other game that I wanted to highlight, and just because these two teams, specifically one, seems to be rolling, is the number 3 TCU versus the number 10 Virginia. Virginia is out here giving no ifs, ands, or buts. They're proving the world wrong. They know they're a 10 seed getting into the Sweet 16. They've already pulled that upset earlier, and I just think they're out to just prove everybody wrong. I just want to, one name I just think everybody should know is Kimora Johnson, number 21. She's their point guard. She's their heartbeat. She is the kid who watched this program growing up, was recruited. It took months to recruit her, to get her to commit, to even to agree to come on a visit on campus, because she kind of had her mind set elsewhere. And then it instantly changed to, let me do this for the home team. She is leading the pack and everybody's buying in. And I think when we talk about peaking at the right time, Virginia is a team doing so. I'm interested to see this matchup with Olivia Miles and the supporting cast of Marta, and just kind of everything that they do at TCU. They struggled in the last game, kind of had a quick little scare there. We're able to pull it off in overtime, but it wasn't without some inconsistencies and some needing to dial in a bit. So I think this is a potential upset in the making. I'm going to call for Virginia just because I'm rolling with them. Why not keep going? And something that we used to say my senior year was just every round that we were there is like, well, we're here. Might as well, right? We're here. Might as well win. So I'm going to channel Virginia and send them that.
And all the games we pick are not conference matchups, which I like, because then there's some conference matchups and you can't avoid it, right? Like it's bound to happen at some point, especially if certain teams keep winning. But like South Carolina versus Oklahoma, it's going to be a good game, and South Carolina is going to have to come out and really play their game to beat Oklahoma again. But like we've seen the matchup, there's a few of these in there, right? So you UCLA and Minnesota, same conference. Texas versus Kentucky. I don't know. I'm just less interested in those because we've seen them before, but still should be good games.
Completely agree. And you never know when an upset's brewing, especially if, South Carolina's been holding the candle kind of all season on some of these. It's prime time for Oklahoma. It's really hard to beat teams twice, let alone 3 times or 4 times. So, oh goodness. Are we already in the third quarter? Should we just keep rolling?
We are flying through this, but we're so passionate about it. It just happens.
Yeah. And plus I almost feel like the faster we talk, the faster the games will be here and we can watch the next rounds already, which is not the case, but, let's jump into the third quarter. All right. So we've talked about the first and second rounds. We've previewed the Sweet 16. Excited to see those games roll. Let's kind of follow up the second half with just some news and noteworthy items that we wanted to highlight to everyone. So our third quarter is going to be an NYU update. Now, this update was something I didn't want to have to share, folks. The New York University women's basketball team had a 91-game winning streak. It came to an end in the Division III Final Four this year. They saw that historic 91 games end, being the second longest in NCAA history. Scranton was able to snap this winning streak and defeat NYU by a score of 60-52 in the Division III Final Four on March 19th, 2026. So the 2-time defending D3 champions, they hadn't lost since March 11th of 2023. So this is a big loss. The NYU is a team we've highlighted a couple times on the podcast, given them their own quarter. Excited to see how they have been able to keep winning. Definitely tough to see it come to an end, but all good things do, right? So giving them their flowers, giving them their props. They had a great run. And you know what happens after a loss, Sid? You just get back on and go back to winning. So I don't doubt maybe this is something that NYU is looking forward to, but they had a great run in a historic season.
Yeah, and shout out to you, Beck, because we've really been following this all season on the podcast because they've been doing something so monumental. And to your point, all good things do come to an end. Sad to lose in the Final Four there. I'm sure the seniors were bummed, but what a career. I mean, the last loss was March 11th, 2023. That's pretty impressive. So Shout out to NYU women's basketball. Let's jump into our fourth and final quarter. Want to quickly highlight the Pat Summit special that's coming out. It's called Breaking Glass. It's a new documentary that is highlighting the late Tennessee basketball coach. It premieres across Hulu and ESPN starting March 25th. So we are recording this on the 24th. As of tomorrow, when we drop this, when our podcast's out, you'll be able to watch it, which is pretty exciting. Documentary special traces the legendary coach's path from her childhood on a farm through her 38-year tenure with the Lady Vols. So Good Morning America anchor Robin Roberts is backing the project via her Rockin' Robin Productions alongside Trilogy, Tribeca Productions, and producer Don Porter. So really excited about this. Like it's hard for me sometimes to watch Pat, like when I see clips on social media or even on TV during basketball games, they'll show some highlights of her. It's like I kind of get sad, right? Because she was taken from us so early, and she meant so much to a lot of us players and to the game. But I'm actually really looking forward to this. If you watch the trailer of it, it looks really, really good and looks really well done. So I'm excited to watch it. I think it's kind of fun for me because like my husband, he never got to meet Pat. And so I'm sure we'll watch it together and I can kind of like share some stories alongside. And it doesn't do it justice what it was like to play day in and day out for 4 years for Pat, but I'm suspecting they did a really good job with it. So just exciting. It's a great way to really honor her and her legacy and what she's meant for women's sports across the globe, really. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to tune in. Definitely looking forward to it. She's one of one, a name that won't be forgotten. She's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of women's basketball just for her impact and everything she's done for the game on and off the court. So I will be tuning in without a doubt.
Just make sure you put her and Gino on opposite ends and all will be okay.
Well, where would I put Coach McGraw then?
She can go right in the middle. She can go right next to Pat because I feel like every time I saw those two interact, they were on good terms.
That's true. That's very true. All right. And with that, we had 4 busy quarters. I do have a couple announcements. Sorry for that last minute change of plans for this episode drop, but we wanted to make sure we got all the games. We had to go forward, see who won and who's going on, right? So my first announcement is we want you all to tune into the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games so that you're able to catch up with all of the great games that we'll be digging into. And our next episode will drop back again on Monday, March 30th. After the 3rd and 4th rounds, we'll have a quick debrief, see where we're at, and set the stage for the Final Four.
What do you think, Beck? You think Notre Dame can beat Vandy and then play UConn?
You know what? I'm going to go with give it the old Irish luck. Why not? Go Irish. You're here. You might as well.
That's right.
Might as well surprise some folks and get a win when nobody thinks that it's possible. Do it. Let's do it.
That would be pretty sweet. I'm secretly rooting for that matchup, so go Irish. I'd like to see him win also. All right,
Sid. Well, shoosh, we did it. 4 full quarters, knocked it out, and we have a couple days to rest and recover before we tune back into all the games.
That's right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you, Beck. Great episode.
We'll chat with you later.
Talk soon.
See you, Sid. That's the 28.5 final buzzer for today's episode. Don't forget to hit follow and download on your preferred podcast platform to catch every play-by-play. New episodes drop each week throughout the season.
If you've enjoyed our courtside chat, drop us a review or follow us on our social media accounts where you can send us questions that may be selected for our Team Huddle Q&A episodes. And remember, from females who have played the game, the size of the ball matters.